Opinion: who is to blame for Gurugrams' seasonal road rivers? For once, the arrival of the monsoon in earnest in Delhi did not result in the usual photo of a bus submerged under the Minto Bridge near Connaught Place. Instead, there were videos galore of the grand roads of Millennium City turning into raging rivers. And the use-oriented residents of the multi-billion rupee apartments flanking the major arterial roads of Gurugram must have truly felt they were in the same boat, if only metaphorically, with people in Texas. But none of Gurugram's well-heeled residents would have wanted their top-offed He-Line Beamers and Mercs to gurgle to a standstill in the gushing, muddy waters of the golf course Road River, just like their counterparts in Texas succumbed to the roiling swell of the Guadalupe River. The difference, of course, is that Guadalupe is actually a seasonal river, while the golf course road has no business turning into one every time there is a serious monsoon downpour. Opprobrium is being heaped mainly and predictably on the municipal authorities of Haryana's most glamorous conurbation. Justifiably too, as civic amenities are definitely the responsibility of the municipal corporations and the politicians and bureaucrats who run them. If the drainage is woefully inadequate to deal with a proper heavy monsoon downpour, if there are no quick resolutions to flooded roads, basements, and ground floor flats, they certainly must be taken to task. They are, after all, the ones who decide what infrastructure is needed, commission surveys, agree on where to put roads, flyovers, drainage, water pipes, electricity supplies, parking, and other aspects of a city's life. If any of these fall short of expectations, either in design or function, they are to blame. But no one is ever proceeded against, say, for flooded roads. The government does not compensate for the millions of rupees worth of private possessions ruined by floodwaters. The fact that no official or neeta will be pulled up or punished for civic woes is well known in India. The public does not really demand it either. The culprits probably bank on the fatalism of Indians. We tend to put up with just about everything if we think there is no real chance of retribution for those responsible. So problems are never solved. Every kin is just kicked further down the road by way of slipshod repair works and upgrades, once the hue and cry dies down. However, what about the well-heeled people who have deliberately chosen to live in places like Gurugram, paying hefty premiums for properties clad in machine-cut remnants of countless marble mountains from here to Turkey, Italy, and beyond, and kitted out in the best accessories? They buy a lifestyle, but why does public infrastructure not matter to them when forking out crores? Surely, they should ensure there are proper civic amenities before agreeing to move there. One of the most amazing aspects of the ancient cities of the Sindhu-Sarasvati civilization was their attention to civic infrastructure. Adequate provisions were made for water and sanitation, two of the major prerequisites of urban life. Arguably, civic authorities had a lighter load 4,000 years ago, as they did not have to provide electricity, metalled roads, and other modern infrastructure, but whatever was expected of them by the ancient Indians, they certainly did fulfill. They did it so well that their handiwork survived till now, albeit buried underground and unused for millennia. But there is no doubt about the quality of their work and attention to detail. The archaeological excavations of settlements dating centuries after the Sindhu-Sarasvati civilization also reveal a similar emphasis on orderly civic infrastructure. So, when did we as Indians decide to jettison this long-held cultural imperative, and why does it linger even now? It would be really easy to blame this on the events of the past 1,000 years, and certainly, a subjugated and exploited people do tend to be less concerned about the finer things of life as they are weighed down by the burden of just existence. But India regained her independence over 75 years ago. Although that is not a very long time when compared to the antiquity of this land, it should have been enough to rekindle our traditional affinity for appropriate urban infrastructure. The world has become infinitely smaller due to technology, and more Indians are aware of the civic standards that can be achieved, yet Indians still have not been able to force the authorities to deliver similar levels of amenities here. India, of course, has many other issues that urgently need government attention and funds, but infrastructure is the basic requisite for every other kind of advancement. Ignoring that crucial aspect undermines the entire purpose of development. It is not that developed nations never grapple with infrastructure glitches. The West's apparent inability to handle extreme weather events despite having the best advance warning systems, leading to catastrophic breakdowns in basic infrastructure, is apparent to all those who watch news videos. Torrential rain caused deadly floods in Texas, USA, much like what Indians expect to happen in Bihar every monsoon. Like rainwater accumulating under the Minto Bridge too. The difference is that people expect more from the civic bodies in the US, and there is also more accountability, with elections held at every level from the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. to local mayors, municipal, and school boards every 2 years. That leaves very little ground for shoddy work or repeatedly unresponsive representatives. With 5-year terms for most posts, Indian politicians rely on short public memory, and officials are unelected. So, while FAA aids become more modern in Gurugram, with dizzying high-rises complete with swimming pools and clubhouses, silky smooth roads, and manicured parks, the underlying shortcomings persist: inadequate electricity necessitating diesel generators, municipal water supplemented by debilitating bore wells, no proper drainage during the annual monsoon, etc. And it is not the fault of any one government, the problem is attitudinal and endemic. Swipe left for next video. That the Minto Bridge has been able to stave off its annual inundation, at least so far in this monsoon season, proves that change is possible and infrastructure can be upgraded if there is political will and proper action by city administrators. Roads need not turn into rivers in Gurugram if there are concerted initiatives in advance. It is too late to do anything much for this year's monsoon. Gurugrams officials can at least make sure Millennium City does not drown again in 2026. The author is a freelance writer. Views expressed in the above piece are personal and solely those of the author. They do not necessarily reflect NEWS18's views. Latest blogs.